is one of the things that makes investing a bit challenging in India, is that you build a business in a certain direction with a certain thought around what regulation is going to look like, and then things tend to change. And I think that that's something that I think we have to be wary of and nervous about. But I think now in a global context, it seems to be happening everywhere. Nothing is predictable, nothing is accepted as standard. So it used to be a thing that I would say would be different, and you'd have to be worried about in India differently. So whether it was how, I think in the past, how Vodafone got hit with GAR, and that changed suddenly how they had to account for everything, and that created all sorts of problems. So the need for consistency was a prerequisite in the past. And one of the things that often was seen as challenging in India. I think the way the world has moved, there is no standard anymore in any case. So therefore, we're no longer different. And so therefore, the expectation that the field is always clear and understood, I don't think is the standard in any country right now. So it's no different. So that, I think, is the unfortunate reality. It's an unfortunate reality because that is how the world's gone. Now, in this case specifically, I think that it was plausible that this was going to happen for quite a while. I think everyone was treading on dangerous grounds. We'd seen in the West poker sites and whatnot get regulated. And so it was bound to be something to have to deal with at some point. So I can't imagine it's a massive shock. But I guess the speed in which it was done was quite surprising.
I think fundamentally in India, for a very, very long time, gaming was very misunderstood from the perspective of what is the real definition. And that is a challenge which, companies like Router faced right since the beginning. So for example, the way Dream 11 started, and by the way, I'm very close to founders of Dream 11, NPL, Gamescraft, and a number of other companies, and I have my full sympathy, support for everything that they have done. They literally created a lot of jobs and created so many revenue channels and all of it. But fact of the matter is that there are two things which were wrong here. First, fundamentally in India, if you look at the laws and a couple of jurisdictions which were done back in 1970s, besides rummy and horse racing, technically everything was not legal. But people were finding way around by defining game of chance versus game of skill. And that is how this industry kind of got started. The second point here is that all of them were, in my personal opinion, were misleading the entire narrative by calling themselves the gaming companies, the online gaming companies, and to an extent, a couple of companies actually used to define themselves as an eSports company. I'll not name them, but and I'm surprised even still they write in their basic definition that they are eSports companies, and that's something that used to hurt us because they were bigger and they were bigger capital with them and all of it. So, as Sandeep rightly said, I think this was always going to be a risk from a regulation perspective because Indian government never made it clear that they support this, and all of this was largely backed by certain courts orders in different states, so on and so forth.
I know how hard he's worked to get this business to the point that we've got to now, and I can't imagine that even if someone were to look at Router from the outside and say, that's the model, that it would be easy to get there. And Piyush, I think I'll let you take on the complexities of the tech and the business, but I can't imagine it's easy.
There are three perspectives to it. First and foremost, the biggest money. So if you take out the real money gaming, the real big opportunity is in being a game publisher, which is when you come out with a game, that is when you own the IP and then you make the in-app purchase happen or whatever you are monetizing it. So that is a bigger opportunity. The bad news in that part is that it's a far longer life cycle and a far bigger, It's a far bigger 0-1 game in terms of, whether you succeed or not. So making a game and succeeding is a far bigger risk than doing anything else. I'll tell you, MPL has been making a game through Mayhem Studios for the last 5 years. The game is still not launched. Dream 11 launched their cricket games about 1.5 years back, and the game has not taken off, though I have seen the game. It's a fantastic game. But even with Dream 11's might and the reach of the user and everything, it's not like the talk of the town. It must be doing certain numbers, but it's not talk of the town. And few other players are investing in certain different kind of games. So getting into a gaming is the real deal. If I was on their side, I would now invest for the next 5 years and start getting into game production, get certain licenses, do different kind of gaming, and then sort of come and launch the game. That is the scale at which all these companies work. So that is point number one. Point number two, getting into something like streaming is like something which is very different from the way their DNA is. Streaming is a pure play, content business. It's a business that requires a certain kind of a tech. Money alone can't solve the problem, because if you come and take a certain streaming business and suddenly start from day one, you will never be able to build the kind of streaming tech we have built, which means at some point the unit economics will not work. So that is the other thing. Third thing is when it comes to, let's say, shop or in-app purchase or something. There, while tech is not that difficult, supply is something that takes a bit of a time. But more than that, it's a typical e-commerce business, which means you need a certain time between 6 to 18 months to get the unit economics right. What is your CAC? What is the kind of retention you are getting? So on and so forth. So these are the three layers of business, and everything other than this is tech, which is something which will take a lot of time for people to come in. So the way I see it is that there is a lot of competition coming. We need to be prepared that anything can happen, and any big player will announce a certain kind of thing someday, which will, dissuade or, make all of us nervous. But that is where the real opportunity is. What we are doing is something that will come more in limelight. And I think, in full fairness and with kudos to the way government has this time, for the first time in last 8 years, 9 years that I've been doing this, explained very clearly what they support. They're very, even in Mr. Modi's tweet last night, he's gone ahead and said, we want India to become the gaming capital of the world, which very clearly means he's not banning gaming, he's banning the money gaming.
I mean, I think when we originally were exposed to the space was when we originally looked at Dream 11 very early on, and honestly, I love Harsh and I, good friends, really liked him, and we had a long debate about game of skill versus game of luck, and I think this was pre-Series A for them, and honestly, for me, he even showed us a lot of judgments that said that this was okay and everything else, but for me, it was a personal concern around the same things that the government's come to today, saying, is this the behavior that I think will be condoned going forward, and is it the right thing for us to do? And so for those reasons, we actually took a step back, and it was less about the game of skill versus game of luck discussion, more about do we feel good about propagating betting, gambling, playing for money. And so we stepped away from that then. And then I think when the opportunity came and we started talking about Rooter, I think the conversation was more driven off of the idea that, well, you could now be a part of what was gaming. And Piyush's distinction between that not really being gaming is the important distinction. I don't think we thought about it as clearly that way, but I mean, this was really where gaming was. And gaming to me is about replacing your TV time with different time. It's your entertainment time that's now going towards engaging in an active game, as opposed to actually just passively watching something. And I think at that point, the risk we took, and again, look, it's all hindsight, was that, and we should have been more aware of this, that ad dollars weren't going to be there. And the reality was, I mean, look, I invested in InMobi. We went through that same journey. Ad dollars weren't there. We should have seen that. We didn't see that. And I think we just remained hopeful that things like diamonds and other ways of compensating the streamers was going to actually carry the day. Now, unfortunately, those things didn't work. Now, and again, all the credit to Piyush and the team there, they kept at it, and they found the monetization eventually. But I think when we stepped into it hoping that advertising dollars were going to actually emerge, dollars were going to shift from offline channels to online, entertainment was going to move from passive to engaged entertainment and gaming. These guys were sitting in a great place. That was how it was going to all along. Now, we got a lot wrong. And again, that's the journey of investing. You kind of get the space right, but you get a lot of things wrong, and then they found the monetization. Look.
The unfortunate part of our side of the gaming industry is that nobody other than us even made a single effort to monetize their platforms. Rooter has had to do the heavy lifting of trying to figure out how to monetize our kind of a business in India for the last 4 years. We started with advertising, performance marketing, sponsorship. We tried gifting, but gifting is again as risky as real money gaming in my mind. And and then we wanted to stick to the core of gaming, which is we wanted to keep the content around gaming, not go out of gaming and do a number of things which a lot of companies try to do. So in our case, I think what really worked for us was the fact that we all were on a corner where we knew that we are right in the middle of a funding winter, and we can slow down. And if we don't figure out the right monetization model, something that works with tech, we will never be able to make it a meaningful business. So the brief was very clear. Something which is tech-led, something which is user-monetized, and something which is at scale. And therefore, any operation-led, monetization model is something we never chase. For example, organizing tournaments. For example, building IPs. For example, building shows and all of it. Like a content company can think in that direction. But we knew all of that can't be at scale. You can't make shows for 12 months, 52 weeks, so on and so forth. Coming back to this thesis, very simple thesis, the gaming is growing, people will spend on in-app purchase. We followed that number for 3 years. The challenge was to go and convince every gaming partner, every game publisher to allow us to sell their currency, something that my team did an incredible job to convince all these gaming companies that we can sell their currency to get started. And then the entire tech product community team created an infrastructure through which people started to buy. And what we have done in the last, like last 12 months, selling about 10 to 12 million dollars worth of goods is literally nothing. The potential of this business is actually to go on and do an annualized sale of somewhere around $500 million, maybe in another 2 to 3 years, because the market currently is $1 billion, would be a $3 billion market, and now with all these bans will be pushed further. One of my theories of this entire incident is that all of this, so approximately with certain reports, about 50 to 60 million users have been spending money in real money gaming for the last few years. And out of this 50, 60 million users, even if 20% of those, let's say 10 million of these users or 15 million of these users move to this kind of a gaming, start to adopt gaming, playing these, AAA games or sports games or something, it will push the in-app purchase market even at a higher pace than what it is happening right now, which is 40% year on year. So we think in-app purchase is going to grow faster from here. More and more game companies will get launched, so on and so forth. So Router Shop is now at a stage where, with few certain, fixes in terms of commission, etc., we can grow a lot. The second, the future monetization models will come in that now that gaming is going to be at a very core focus of the entertainment industry, we will have to build something that derives a lot of value for gamer and game publisher. So some tech, some feature which ensures that they are getting a unique benefit from a platform like ours is going to be the next right to win for us. We are building something like that. And once you build that, which is a completely tech-based initiative with a certain moat and all of it, then I think the unlocking of subscription business and maybe advertising at scale with much higher eCPMs, etc., would happen. This is where I can see things moving at this direction. I'm sure we'll do a number of other things. One of the things that we are trying to unlock is, can at some stage we become a publisher where we take the responsibility and do exclusive deals with publishers to bring games to India. It might happen in next 6 months. There are a lot of discussions at last stage, but I don't want to call it out right now. But that's a huge possibility for a business like ours. What I don't see us doing is becoming a game publisher as of now. Because we don't know. I mean, unless we get into a strategic mode and start acquiring games which are making sense and grow them with us and all of it, I can't see it right now. But I think at some point we will sit across and maybe evaluate that. But the possibilities from here are endless, purely because we are a democratic tech platform sitting at the center of the industry, and with 5 years of extensive experience building a business like this, something that nobody can take away from us.